this is what we call an assignment. This is an assignment. We are saying, let the new value of answer be the old value of answer plus 7. We're saying, let it be. We are assigning it. We are not saying answer is equal to, like an algebraic equation, answer plus 7. That just would not make any sense, because of course answer cannot equal answer plus 7 if you were doing an algebraic equality. It's not an equality, it is an assignment, not an equality. Okay, so keep that in mind, even though it looks the same. When we are doing it in the context of programming, it is assignment that we're doing here. And you can do the same thing with plus equal. You could do it as plus minus. So if I did plus minus, the answer would be 3. And sorry, I needed to do it here. And let me get rid of this. Okay. And this and this. So 3 is equal to 3 minus 7. And what would that give us? And this is how we run it. Node main.js. So if you had 3 minus 7, the answer would be -4. So just remember that we can clear it. And I use my arrow keys to run it again. You can do the same thing with a multiplication. So I can say answer is equal to answer times 3. And if I run it, answer is equal to 21. 3 times 21. So it's straightforward. We can do this for all the operations as you see in here. You can do it for plus, minus, multiplication, and division. Okay. So next we're going to talk about increment and decrement operators. So what's happening here is a shortcut way of saying answer is equal to plus 1. This is the same as saying answer plus plus. So if I just did this, what would we get? 4. We started off with 3. We add 1 to it. Now, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to comment this out. And I'm going to say answer plus plus. So I go up here. I'm going to just make this number 4. Why? No reason. I just want to change it. And I come in here. I'll clear it. And I'm going to run it. So the answer now should be we're starting off at 4. We're saying answer is equal to answer plus 1. I should get an answer of 5. We are incrementing it by 1. That is true. If I said answer minus minus, now I'm taking 4 and subtracting 1 from it. I end up with 3. So these are common ways of increasing and decreasing a value, because you need to do this very frequently in programming. Increase it by 1 or decrease it by 1, some sort of a counter, a loop, and we do this all the time. So in here we have a more comprehensive example. So I suggest let's go in here, copy this one, paste it right here, and we will see what we end up with. Okay, so I'm going to start from the top, and here I like to clear my thing, and I'm going to scroll up so you can see the whole thing. So we're saying our monthly revenue is equal to 0. So we are declaring the variable and initializing it to a value of 0. Then we are saying monthly revenue is equal to monthly revenue, which is of course 0, plus 5,000. So now it should tell us in week 1, it is 5,000. Second one, monthly revenue is equal to 5,000 plus 7,500. Then whatever that total is, so we're going to keep on going, and it will show us our increasing revenue. So I'm going to go in here and run it. So we start off, of course, with 5,000, 12,5, 18,7, 268, 67. Please make sure you're getting the same values. Run the code that I have in here. Any questions? Let me know. These are the answers you should be getting. We're now going to start a brand new topic called strings, and this is a reasonably big topic, fairly important. So we'll go through it, all of it. But it's not a difficult topic. This is an easy topic. And let me just, I think I have some students waiting. Let me check, let them in, and again, any questions, this is a good time to let me know, and I will cover it. I'll go through it. Okay, so if you're not familiar with computer language, uh, strings refers to character text. So if I'm typing A, B, C, D, that's a string. A number may also be a string. Nothing wrong with it. So here I'm showing you various examples of strings. So account name is cash, CASH, that is a string. Description, office supplies, that is a string. And we could have some sort of a code or whatever. This is a string. The important thing to keep in mind, I'm going to copy this code, is there are 3 separate ways to declare a string. So I'm going to delete out of this, delete all of this. And I want you to pay attention. I'm going to zoom in a bit. So I'm really zooming in because I want to emphasize something. Look at how a string is enclosed. It can be either in double quotes or single quotes. They're both strings, or using backticks. This is also a string. And this is a special type of string that we call template literal. And we'll discuss this in a few minutes. But these are all strings. Why would you want to have all the variation? Because there may be time that I don't want to just say office supplies, but maybe I want to say Jack's office supplies. And I now have a problem. You can see with the red squiggly lines, I'm doing something wrong. So if I want to use a single quote like a possessive, Jack's, well, then the smart thing to do is enclose it in double quotes. Now I no longer have a problem. Now we are talking about Jack's office supplies. And it may be that he says, I will only accept cash. Okay. So now John said, comma, comma, I will only accept cash. So if you have this type of a situation, you can use a single quote around a double quote. So I'm going to zoom back out. I think this is fine. Let me just see my level of zoom. I believe it should be here somewhere. I'm not even sure. Anybody see Zoom somewhere here? Unless it's under appearance. I'm not even sure. Yeah, right there. Okay. I could not see it because so under appearance, you can go in and zoom in and out, and I'm gonna reset my zoom. So this is the way I had it. So if I run this, oh, as usual, I don't have a console.log. So console.log, and I want account name. And what I'm going to do is use account name, comma, description, comma, code. So I want to console log all three things, and you'll see how that looks here. John said, I will only accept cash. And then I separate it out Jack's office supplies, then space ACC001. So you can see all three ways of doing or creating string. There is yet a fourth way of adding. So the way I did it, that's one way, but you can also do what's called using escape characters. And with escape characters, um, and this would be a good example to have. So I'm highlighting it and I'm going to explain it. So it says the account is active. So if you wanted to use, you could, easy way is use single quotes here, double quotes here, then single quote. But no, you want to use double quotes and double quotes, and in here you also want to use double quotes. Well, you can do it using a backslash and a quote. A backslash and a quote. So right here, I'm gonna just deal with just one item, okay? Account name. So, and I want it to be all in double quotes. So if I did this, all of a sudden you can see I have got an error because it doesn't know where the quote is ending, where it's beginning. It's like confused. It's giving me an error. So I can fix it by saying this quote is an escaped character, saying that I'm putting a backslash that make this a display quote. It's not an enclosing quote. So this is enclosing quotation. This is display quotation. And let's say I did not want anything, like just do this. And then we will clear it and see what it looks like. John said, I will only accept cash. Maybe now I want to say in here, I want to change it to single quotes. And so I have single quotes, but I also want to say John's father said. So I want to use both a single quote and a double quote. Well, easiest way to do this is add a backslash here. Because I've added a backslash and because we're using single quotes to enclose, I really don't need the slash. John's father said, comma, I will only accept cash. So there's yet another way which I describe by using escape. Questions, let me know. Now, just like you can escape for quotations, there are other escape sequences. So this is called escaping. So this was escape quotes, escape characters. The most common escape characters that you will come across are T for tab, N for new line, and a backslash for backslash. So let's get these and see what happens. I go in here, I'm gonna rewrite this. So let's just see what happens. So I got name, and then I tabbed across to get balance. Then I tabbed across to get status. So I'm using \T as a tab. Now, if I were to copy this, and if I were to open up my Excel file, and let's say I just want to paste it right here. Okay. Now, it did not come out the way I wanted to, but what if the tabs were not being copied from the terminal, but I was writing a file. This is, I'm displaying it in the terminal, so the tabs became spaces. But imagine I was not writing it out like this, but I was creating a file, and I opened that file with Excel. When you have tab delimited, I would have got a name, balance, status. Right now, in the same cell I got. So when I pasted it, it made that not into a tab, but into a space. So just something minor to be aware of, that this is used a lot. I use this thing extensively if I'm trying to create an Excel spreadsheet. So what I will do is right here, instead of just saying console.log, I will say write to a file. So, and there also you have to be careful. You cannot always write to a file, but if you are using Node, you can. If you were using just a regular browser, you cannot. So I'm going to go in here and I'll use Gemini. Create a small script that writes a tab delimited line in Node JavaScript. And that having the word node is important because you cannot do it in a regular JavaScript. And I'm in the Windows operating system for Windows. And let me just see what I get, because I'm trying to generate a quick code. I don't want to be spending a lot of time writing it. So it's saying, okay, save the code as a file name, write to file.js, and then open your command and then issue this. So we are going to just copy this code. You don't need to do anything, just watch, because I'm trying to explain a concept. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to paste it in here. So because we're using Node, uh, we are able to do these things. This is something that FS uh, is basically we're creating a file. This is helping us do a directory structure. It's trying to figure out whatever the directory is, and then it's going to combine our file name, which is called output. We're just making that name up. The text, combining our folder name and our file name. And that's where it will save the script out here. And then our header is name, age, city. And then we are entering data. We are delimiting it using tab. Windows has a specific way of doing credit returns and all that. So we are doing that in here. And then we are actually going to be writing these lines out. And once the lines are written, we are going to save it to the file system. I know it looks confusing, and this is why I'm not directly teaching you this. I'm not doing this right now, but I just wanted to show you an example of what we can do. So it outputted stuff here, but it also created this thing called output.text. Now, if I were to open this file, I'm going to open it right here. You can see the same stuff. But if I were to open this using Excel, I have it under coding, then it should be JavaScript. If I can remember where I put it. Okay, 343, then JavaScript. And then I find it. It's output.txt. So it will ask me, what do you think it is? How is it delimited? So I'm going to tell it, it is delimited. Right now it's putting everything together. And I should be able to see tab somewhere. Anybody sees that? I can't. I'm not even seeing where the tab is. Let me try it like this. Oh, okay, right there. Tab. Everything is basically text and finish. Okay. So now I have just been able to create a spreadsheet. And you can see that with cells and all. And I did not create it directly. I created it indirectly. So there are different ways of doing this stuff, but and there are easier ways of doing it than what I just showed you. But if I want to create an Excel spreadsheet or a Word document or a PowerPoint presentation programmatically, this is one of the ways you can do it. And all we are really doing in here is just outputting something to a file as tab delimited. Again, this stuff is not important, but I wanted to show you potential applications of this stuff that you're able to do fairly quickly, fairly easily. And I'm going to close out this. We don't need this anymore. Not sure why it's not letting me do it. Okay, I'll cancel out. Oh, apparently I did not close out of this. I thought I did. Okay. So we're sort of back to where we started. So you can use tabs we just talked about. And similarly, we have something called /n or \n, which stands for a new line. Basically saying, hey, move to the next line, move down. And sometimes you just need to have a backslash that you need to use. You can do double backslash. Now, everything we are talking about is right now under the topic of strings. So when I'm done with strings, the next topic would be arrays, which is a little bit complicated. Strings, not so much. So let me go down to strings again. And we talked about escape characters. We are going to talk about concatenation. Concatenation just means putting two sets of strings together. And it's pretty easy to do so. And this is a great example. So, like right here, great example for you to look at. So, let first name equal John, let last name equal Smith. Full name is equal to first name plus. And then we want to leave some space, otherwise, it will be John Smith would be joined without a space in between. So we say quotation, space, quotation, plus last name. And that will just print out the full name of John Smith. So it's easy to do that. Another way we can use the plus equal, it's not just for arithmetic, you can use it with strings. So report is financial summary. Now to that report, I want to add a new line and then say revenue and log it. So let's look at this one. I'm going to copy this and see what it looks like. So it basically will be financial summary. Then there should be a new line. It's going to hit enter. And then it's going to do this. So let's first do tab. Not new line. And let me run it. And I got financial summary, tab, revenue 50,000. Now I want to change it to a new line. Financial summary, new line. Go to the next line. I want to leave some space between financial summary and revenue. So I go in here and I add another new line. If I run it, it says financial summary, a new line, and then revenue. So don't be right next to it, go down to the next line. If I did not have that, and I ran my code, it would just say financial summary, and right away it will say revenue. I want to make sure there's at least one space, then I'll do that, and then we'll get financial summary revenue 50,000. So these are all things that I want you to be able to play around with on your end and get comfortable and familiar. Strings have a lot of properties and methods, and we're going to go through this. This may seem a little confusing, but because I have to do arrays next, I'm going to at least introduce this topic. Okay. And I think let's do this. It's about 7:15. Let's take a 10-minute break, and then I will get started with this. It will take a little bit of explaining, and I want to be able to give you a break right now. Then we will continue. So about 10 minutes, we'll start around 7:25. Then I will continue this. Just another minute or so, then we'll continue. All right, so we're going to continue. And uh, this part that we're going to do is going to be a little bit more complicated because you're just not used to something like this. So I'm going to take this example and modify it because I don't like this example too much. So uh, I'm going to just call it account for right now is cash. And I want to know the length of this string called cache. And I'm gonna hide this by commenting it out. So by commenting it out, it's not gonna run. This is all that's gonna run. And I wanna figure out, well, what is the length of account? So what we are saying is account consists of a string called CASH. So if I said display the length of the account, I get 4. So 4 means C1, A2, S3, H4. It has 4 characters in it. I change it to cashier. That's 7 characters. And I get 7. So one property that you have when you are dealing with strings is length. What if it wasn't a string? What if it was a number. 34. I get undefined. It's saying, I don't know what you're talking about. It's not a string. So this property, length, is for strings. It's for other things also, but right now, the only thing you know about is strings. Now, if I converted this into a string, it's a number, but it's really a string, 3, 4, because it's in quotations. Now we should get 2 out of this. 3 is 1, 4 is 2. We in programming manipulate strings a lot. It's done very frequently. So it is helpful to be able to bring and look at each value. So I'm going to go back to cache. We can access the value of each by doing something like this. I'll just do it separately. So I can say account, and then we use these square brackets, and I say, what is the first value of account? And I want to print it. So I am thinking I should get a C. C is the first letter of account. And let's see if that actually happens. So I'm telling it, I don't want the length anymore, so I'm going to delete that line. I'm saying console.log account, and I'm telling it, hey, I'm actually going to leave this for a minute. I want the first character of the string. So I am expecting to see the letter C, and I don't. I am saying I want the first one. Clearly, C is the first one. The answer is no. Computers do not count. Like if I ask you, count, and you will say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's not how computers work. If I tell a computer to start counting, the computer will say 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Computers always start the count at 0. So if I said, hey, tell me what is the 0th value, because to the computer, that's how you say the first value. Now I get a C. And this is useful because we can then extract out from whatever position we want. So it begins at position 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. And in this case, there is no fourth position. So if I try to ask for the fourth position, what will happen? Again, no, there is no fourth position. 3 is the last one. And I get undefined. Can I put a negative number in here? Like, let's say -1. I'm getting undefined. Now, in other languages like Python, yep, it allows you to use -1. And -1 in Python means start counting from the back, going this way. If I was using Python. But in JavaScript, it's not letting me do this. So if you want to know what was the last character, let's say we know it's cash, and I want the exclamation value, and I don't know exactly where it is because it's pretty long. All I know is I'm looking for the last value. So I can do something like this. I can get the length of the account and whatever the length is. Well, let me first just see what the length is. Length is 27. So if it begins counting at 0, I know that if I said account length -1, then it should give me the 26th character. Now, it will give me the 26th character, but if I just leave it like this, it will just display 26 to me. It's telling me 26, but I don't want 26. I want the 26th character. So I can say account, and then in square brackets, account length -1. So it's another way of saying account and give me the 26th character. And now I get exclamation mark. And there are different ways you can manipulate it. You can manipulate these strings many different ways. A lot of things available to us. Now, there is this concept of immutability, which means every time you create a string, a new string is created. You cannot modify the string and leave it as is. I don't want you to worry too much about this. Okay, I mentioned it here, but don't worry too much about it. But it basically just means that uh, a new string is created each time you modify your string. You cannot just uh, update a value in a string. Let's say I wanted to change the K to an I, but I wanted to do it programmatically. Yes, I can do it, but it I would have to do it by creating a new variable called account and assigning I to it programmatically. Uh, I cannot just go in and update it. This is a more advanced topic, more complex topic, so please do not worry too much about it. There are tons of commands that you can use with strings, and I'm just gonna go through one or two more. So first, I'm gonna just bring it back to just cache. And now if I run this, I should get my H value, and you can do things like account dot. And when I do dot, it tells me all the options I have available. At, character at, character code at, code point at, concat, which you can put things together. This is a way to search that does it end with an exclamation mark, or does it have in the word A, or letter A in the word cache, index of, so there and length. There are a lot of different options, and whenever you're doing programming, there is no way you can go through all of these things, or anybody's going to teach you all of these things. It is a matter of looking it up when you need it. So if I said character at, and then it's telling me, hey, it's zero based. So if I said character at 0 and I run it, what is the 0th character? Oops, I ended up with a problem. So it wasn't too happy. So what happened? I'm missing something somewhere. What am I missing? Console.log. I put my closing bracket, but I did not do two of them. So I'm going to go back here, clear it, and then try running it again. So the character at 0 is C. So you've got all these different things that you can do. Does it include? Now, I'll just say A. Does it include A? And I get a response saying, yep, true. This string has the character A in it. Does it have the character T in it? False. So there are just so many different things that you can do. So when I'm doing a Google search, for example, that's what it's doing. It's using includes. So I type the first letter into a Google search, A, T. Does it include A, T? No, it doesn't. Does it include A, S? Yes, it does. So when you are typing characters into a text box, this is exactly what's happening behind the scenes to get a match. Anywhere, do you have AS? Do you have ASH? Whatever. So, and it will also be looking at full match, and it looks at includes, etc. This is how you do a search box. So, like I have a search box up here. It would be, if I go in here and I'm just going to type gibberish, no matching results. But now if I go in and I say C, O, nothing, it's matching. Depending on, again, what you're trying to do. Right now, in there, these are my options. So can I say G. It's not letting me go. It's not giving me matching results for some reason. Um, but it should be working. I'm not quite sure why the search is not working, but that's pretty much how it works. It uses this include thing, or if I were to do it in a search engine, I'm sure it would work. All right. Any questions so far? We just got to this point, which is immutability, and I went a little bit beyond what we did here. Next, we are going to be going to arrays, and that's a little bit more difficult a topic. So, up until now, if there are any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will continue. So, let's talk about arrays, and I'm going to make my own example. So, what I want to do is uh, get an average of quiz grades. So, for John Doe. So, for this one student, I want to get an average of his quiz grades. So, I say quiz 1 is equal to 85. Now, it's not a good idea for me to do what I did. I got a squiggly line because I put a space in between. You are not allowed to do that to variable names. So now this is good. At this time, I've created a variable in global scope, which you may remember from last week. It's a bad idea. Therefore, I always want to use the word let. Even though I know you don't understand what global scope is right now, we always want to use the word let or const when we are creating a variable. So next I want let quiz 2 equal 95. Let quiz 3 equal 90. And then I could say something like this. Let average equal quiz, and I need to put it in parentheses, quiz 1 plus quiz 2 plus quiz 3, and then, oops, and then I will say divided by 3. And I can say console dot log average. So just by looking at it, you can see the average is 90, and I want to see if I did it correctly. Yep, average is 90. Now, I want to add another quiz to it, and yet another quiz. This is a very cumbersome way of doing things. This is not a good way because it gives me no flexibility. I've got to come back right here and say quiz 4. Then I got to make sure I change this one and add quiz 4 to it. Then I got to make sure this says 4. That's not how programming should be. We should be able to do things in a more generic way. And we can do that by using something called arrays. So I'm gonna comment all this out. I don't want to delete it just yet. And I'm gonna say, let quiz equal 85, comma 95, comma 90. And I'm putting it in square brackets. So an array is a list of values stored in a single variable. Think of it as a column in spreadsheet. So what I just did, using square brackets, I created an array. Now, I can say console.log, and I can log quiz. And let me see what happens. It gives me back my array, 85, 95, 90. Can I console.log quiz dot? And as soon as I do dot, it tells me what are some of the options available. A lot of options available. But you know what I was looking for? I was looking for length. Can I do console.log length? Yep, it tells me 3. You've got 3 quiz values. I can go in here and add a quiz value. Now, if I do the same thing, I get back 4. So, an array is very much like the strings. I could do the following. For the quiz, tell me what is the first value. And the way I access the first value is by saying 0, because the computer is going to count this 0, 1, 2, 3. So if I say, what is the first value? I got to start off with a 0. And it gives me back 85. If I say, what is the fourth value? 0, 1, 2, 3. I get undefined. What is the negative first value? Undefined. Just like we were doing with strings. Virtually the same thing. can I have an array which is here? I start off with the name John, comma 85, 95, and I want to look at the 0th value. So I could create a quiz array where the very first element is the name of the student and then the grades that that particular student got. So we are creating arrays that can be used to store any of your data types, numbers or strings or mixed types like this one. You can even have an empty array. Perfectly fine, perfectly legal. Arrays, just like strings, always begin at 0, then 1, so on and so forth. An array can have another array inside it. I don't want to worry too much about it, but an array can have, so these are called multi-dimensional arrays. They are more like a table, but they can go into 3 dimensions, 4 dimensions, 5 dimensions. So when we talk about different dimensions, we are not limited to 3 dimensions. Mathematically, you can have an infinite number of dimensions, and you can do that with arrays. Again, I'm not going to go too deep into it, but I just want you to know some of the basics of arrays. You should know array methods. So I showed you length already, but there are other good ones that you can have. So we can use a command called push. So if you push, so I have 4 quiz grades. And in here, I'm going to just say log quiz. Then I'm going to say quiz dot push. And I am going to say 99. And then I'm going to console.log quiz. So I come in here, I'll run it. So now John took another quiz and he got a 99. So I want to add 99 to that array. I can do that using push. I am going to drop the lowest grade. So I could do quiz dot pop. Now, look at this here. I can do push to add a value. If I did pop, it will remove the last value, not the lowest value. So I could do pop, but pop will look like this. So just watch what happens now. I had 80, I had John 85, 95, 90. I said pop. It got rid of the last value, which is 65. Yes, coincidentally, it happened to be the lowest, but it got rid of the last value. Then I did a push and I added 99 to it. You can, with a push, it adds it to the end. If you want to add it to the beginning, you can do something called unshift. If you want to remove from the beginning, you call it shift. And we already discussed the length property. So you have other options. Unshift adds to the beginning. So like right here, instead of push, I'm going to say unshift. I'm going to leave these here and run it. Unshift adds to the beginning. And shift removes from the beginning. Now, there are so many things you can do with array. So JavaScript, array methods. So Gemini is telling me there's a push, pop, shift, unshift, splice. There are methods to search in an array. You can iterate. You can go through each and every one using something called for each, for map. You can use filter. You can use something called reduce. Okay. This is something you can use to calculate the average or add up the sums of the values. You can sort. You can do reverse of the array. And it goes on and on. And we talked about length and so on and so forth. This is commonly used. JavaScript offers extensive lists. So if you want to really see the full list, then this would be a place you can go. These are the docs for array. So in here, they will tell you. So for arrays, all the different methods that are out there that you can use. So I could do, let's go to Gemini. what is the quickest way to get an average of quiz grades using a JavaScript array? Show me the code. So it's saying the quickest way to do it is to use the reduce method. And this is complicated stuff that I'm talking about. This is not meant for you guys, but I want you to be aware that all of this stuff is quite powerful. And uh, with the help of any of the AI tools, any of the AI assistants, you can easily generate code like this. As long as you have some basic familiarity with JavaScript, well, you can take a code like this, paste it, and then come in and try to customize it. So in here, you're creating an array of numerical grades. Then you're getting the average of the grades. And this is all commented, okay? This is comments. So I don't need this at the top. Then we're creating something called a function, which you're going to learn next, which will take the length of the grades. So if I got 3 grades, it will tell me what the length is. Then it's going to take the value of each, add it up, add it up, add it up. Then it will take an average by taking the sum divided by the length. So this is a fairly simple thing. It's giving us an example in here, and then it will console.log this. So again, I'm showing you these things only to highlight the power that is available to you if you understand the basics of JavaScript. You don't need to be an expert, but if you look at it and you can figure out most of what's going on, you're in pretty good shape. We have not talked about functions yet, and that's the next big topic I'm going to cover. So if I go back to my notes, you can see functions is next. So just give me a minute or so, because when I teach, my throat really gets sore. So I just need a minute, and then I will continue explaining functions. This is a big topic, major topic. So I go to Gemini and I say, a new one. Does Excel have functions? Yes, Excel or any spreadsheet has lots of functions. So the basic syntax of an Excel function is you begin with an equal sign, and then you can do a bunch of things to it. So you've seen me use the sum function all the time. There's an average function. So if I were to open up Excel, and I have 3 numbers, 90, 80, 100, I can use the sum function. to get the total. This, yeah, it's a formula, but the formula is using the sum function. And I want you to pay attention to how it's written. We got the equal sign, but that's not the big thing. Then we have the name of the function, which is sum. Like, could I do average? Is there like a function called average? Yes, there is. And then I have to tell it what the numbers are. So in parentheses, I can give it the range of numbers, then close my parentheses, and I get a 90. But a function has a name and it has parentheses. So looking at my code, I am going to create a function. How you define a function? Instead of using the equal, we use the word function in JavaScript. We just type the word function. Then the function name, which is sum. Then parentheses. And then whatever code you want to execute. So again, based on this, we have created a function. Just because you create a function doesn't mean the function is going to do anything. You must call the function. This is like similar to when we did console.log. You must call the function. So it may seem a little confusing, but let's go ahead and create a function. I use the function. That's the equivalent of putting the equal sign. Then I need to give it a name. Now, in Excel, they're using all caps and all that. We typically will not do that. And I will just create a function which says add numbers. I'll just say add two numbers. And then I must put a parenthesis at the end. So when you are defining a function, you use these curly braces, and inside it, I will just do something like let answer equal to 2 plus 3. And then I will say console dot log answer. So if I run my code, remember I have a console.log statement in there. I should see 5 print over here. I'm not seeing anything. Why? Because I have defined a function. I have not called my function. So to call a function, you have to say add two numbers with parentheses. Now I am calling my function. So now if I run it, I get 5. And the reason you normally create a function, this is obviously a very simplistic example, is because you want to be able to do things repeatedly, over and over again, the same thing. That's why you create a function. So you've learned how to declare or define a function, and then you learn how to call a function. But often, not always, often, for it to be useful, we want functions with parameters. What that means is inside those parentheses, we want to be able to put something. So in my example, I can make it much more useful if I said add two numbers and then I said first num, comma, second num. And now instead of saying answer is 2 plus 3, I say answer is first num plus second num. And then I will get my answer. So now, if I just did this and I run my function, what do you think is going to happen? Does it know what the first number is and what the second number is? It doesn't. So what it does is it returns something called NaN, which stands for not a number. It's saying, whatever you're doing, it's not a number. So how can I improve upon it? I could say 0, comma 0 and then run it. What is 0 plus 0? Answer is 0. What if I said 2, comma 7? And now I get 9. So by using these things called parameters, this thing is called parameters. The function has parameters. And in here, we say the function has, actually the function has two arguments and we are passing these parameters. So let me just go back. So functions with parameters. So revenue and expenses are parameters. And in here, this stuff right here, these are arguments. So you call a function which has parameters with, we call these things arguments, 50,000, 30,000, or in my case, I passed arguments of 2 and 7 to my function parameters of first num and second num. Just terminology, not to worry too much. People often say, add two numbers with parameters of 2 and 7. It's okay. It's technically not correct, but it's okay. Question so far, please let me know. Now, a function should typically only be doing one thing. It really should not be doing two things, which is it's adding and then it's displaying. So I could have like a nice complicated function, multiple steps, that's fine. But you probably don't want to combine a computational function with how you display it. Right now I'm doing console.log, but maybe I want to display it in an alert box or something else. There are different ways of displaying things. So instead of doing what I just did, I could issue a return statement. I could say return answer. So if I call this function, it is going to return an answer. And I could save that answer in my own variable. Let my answer equal add two numbers 2-7. And then I could say console.log my answer. Now I get my answer of 9. It is displayed, but my function is only doing what it's supposed to do, which is calculate, do some computation. Now, it's possible I want to display it as a console.log as an answer. It's also possible that I wanted to display it as a string. And an example of that would be let answer text equal the answer is my answer. And I don't want to display it like that. I want to display it like this. I want it to be the answer is. And now I can do console.log and I can do instead answer text. So now I get the answer is 9. That's what I was looking for. And because I'm using a function, I can output it however way I want. I don't just have to say 9 like I did here. I can say the answer is 9. So if I change the values here to 3 and 10, 3 and 7 to get 10, again I will get what I want. 3 plus 7, 10. So we use these things called functions when we want to do the same thing over and over again. We also use this thing called return statement, and functions have a lot of practical implications. Questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'm about to go into the next big topic, which is how you make decisions. And this is an important topic. Just like functions, This is an important topic. Questions, let me know, please. All right. So this is a big topic. It's really super critical topic because once you understand this, you'll understand a lot of what is critical, how you make a real computer program. Console.log. Hmm. Well, I'm going to say let first num equal 5 or 4. Let second num equals 5. And I'm going to say console.log, tell me, is first num equal to second num? So I'm trying to figure out, I want the answer to be true, it is equal, or false, it's not equal. And of course, the answer should be false. So if I run it, I'm expecting false as an answer. But what do I get? I get 5 as an answer. Because what I'm saying is, let first num be equal to second num. I am saying let the two be equal. So that I'm not going to get a true or false. I'm just assigning the value of 5 to first num. That's not what I wanted. So I go back and I say, oh, let me fix that. And I'm going to fix it by putting two equal signs. And then I'm going to run my code. 4 and 5 are the two equal. Now I get a false. The two are not equal. What if I said this? Yeah, 5 is equal to 5. What if I did this? Is 5 equal to a string of 5? So let me clear this up. A number 5, is that equal to a string 5? Answer is yes, it is true. But, I don't think 5 and a string of 5 should be equal. Because first is a number, second one is a string. They're not really equal. But if I use 2 equals, it tells me, yep, they are equal. Sometimes we want to make sure that they are of the same data type, that their data type matches. So if I put triple equal, it's saying, don't just look at the value. Look at the value plus make sure that they are of the same data type. So in JavaScript, you will see us using triple equal most of the time when we want to do equality. Yeah, double equal is okay some of the time, but typically when you are testing to see if two values are equal. Now, if you don't care about data type, you can use two equal signs. If you're assigning something, you use one equal sign. But if you want to do like what I'm going to call a full comparison, then you use three equal signs. And this is something that can be confusing because you're really experiencing this for the first time. There's no such equivalent in math or English, etc. This is something very peculiar to JavaScript. So how do we use this? I mean, I did a console.log, but the way you typically use this is as part of a if else statement block. So best practice is to always use triple equal or not equal. So to do not equal, let me go back. So if I ran it right now, I am getting false, but if I want to know, are they not equal? So the exclamation mark stands for not equal. They're not equal, that's true. Why? I'm using string. If I got rid of this, just two, not equal, now I'm getting false. So I'm going to bring it back to just a number. And now we'll do a triple. Because they're equal, and I'm saying, are they not equal? It's saying false. Hopefully it's making sense because I'm saying in here, first number is not equal to second number, but it is equal to second number. So it's saying what you have in here is false. The exclamation mark can sometimes be confusing, and it's not that difficult to avoid using it. You can also have comparisons done, and I'll make this 6 And now it will be, is first number greater than second number? Nope. Is first number less than? True. So, and you can do less than or equal to or not. So I could do things like this. Not, or I can do less than or equal to, not equal to. There are just so many combinations that you can do with these. So just for right now, don't get things too complex. And this is, of course, wrong. This will always be true. This expression is always going to end up being true because first number will always be equal to second number. I'm assigning it. Okay. Just a lot of variations with this that we can do. Greater than equal to, less than or equal to, not equal to. Just so when we are doing these comparisons, we often combine them with logical operators, which basically stand for and. They also, we have or. So and or. These are two ways of introducing additional logic into our statements. And I'll do an example. Ignore switch statements for now because I don't want to look at it. I will go over ternary operator, but not critical right now. And let me see, because I want to get to a certain point. I think this is the last main topic. And yeah, objects I want to talk about. Okay, so let me just go back up. Oh. All right. So I'm gonna say let um mm, majority age equal 18. That's somebody's going to be an adult at 18. And then I'm going to say student age, and it's 6. So I want to know if student age is greater than or equal to majority age. If that is the case, console dot log adult. And that's it. That's all I want. So now, based on this, it should not print anything, but now if I do 26, it should print adult. So let's see if that actually works or not, or if I'm making some error in the logic. Okay, it says adult, so I'm happy with that. Now, I also wanted to say console. Oh, this person is. And then I will just put student age. Let's run it now. Adult, this person is 26. Now, when we do this, I'm going to go back here and show you. So what we're doing right now is making some sort of a comparison and displaying it. Generally, it's a good idea to use these curly braces when you got these statements in between, because it can be ambiguous if this is related to this. What if I did this? I want this to print. I'm getting basically the same answer. Sometimes you do not want, this is going to be, I think it'll be better if I change this to 6 and then you see what happens. This person is 6. So this line is printing no matter what. This line is only printing when it says adult. But what I wanted to do is this should only run when it is true. So if you want to this to run only when it is true, you put these lines in a block. So if the first statement, if it's not true, neither should be printing. So now let me run it and see what happens. Nothing prints because I only want it to print student's age if the student is over the age of 18. So, yes, while I could do it without these parentheses, things can become ambiguous. It will only run the first line after that, not the second line. Second line will run no matter what. But if you want both of these to be executed or not executed, you must put them in a block. That's what we call a block. And I'm covering quite a bit. It may um, be a little confusing as well. But once you actually start typing this stuff in, it will definitely get easier. So, in addition to if, you can also do else. Else. Now, as usual, I would do some sort of a parentheses. And typically, I like doing it like this. It's a matter of personal style. So if it's not an adult, then it's a minor. So I run my code and it should say a minor. If true, do this. Else, show a minor. And you can chain these if-else statements to achieve uh, more results. But so just know the basic if and else, but also know that you can chain it. So I could do this. Else, if student age is less than 2, then I wanted to say a baby. Else, a minor. So let's change the age to 1 and see what happens. I get an answer of a baby. Change it to 3, run it, I get a minor. So you can chain these things together as many if and else if as you want to test things, and at the end up with whatever result you want. And you can combine these with, when you're doing this right here, I can further combine it using and or or. And is double ampersand. Or is double pipe. This is called pipe, vertical bars. So we can have compound conditions. Instead of me writing it like this, I could have written it as this. If the student is greater than majority age, say adult. Now, I'm going to rework it. You can do anything you want, but I want to now rework it. If the student is less than majority age, and I'm trying to find my ampersand, and if the student is less than majority age, so we know it's 1 through 17 or 0 through 17. Less than 17 and student age is greater than or equal to 2. So right now I am trying to do two separate conditions. If this is true and student is greater than or equal to 2, then I want it to console.log that the person is a minor. So I'm going to go in here, add my parentheses, and console.log, a minor. And for right now, I just want to get rid of all this code. So I'm looking at it and it's telling me double squiggly lines or like a red squiggly line. So I'm doing something wrong. And the issue is this if now is dealing with these two things. So a better way to do this is enclose it in parentheses like this. Like this. Because if needs its own parentheses, then the first condition and then the second condition, and you can go to third or fourth or fifth, whatever. So if I just did this, in this case, I'll make this a 1-year-old. So if it's 1 year old, it's not going to print anything. What if it is a 5 year old? Now it's going to print a minor. What if it is a 20-year-old? Right now, again, it should not print anything because I'm only testing these conditions and printing something when the individual is between the ages of 2 to 17. Okay, so we've done quite a bit. I am basically right up to this point where the switch statements are. I may not teach you this, it's not very important. I do want to teach you ternary operator and loops, and that is going to take a while. I definitely want to teach you objects. And here we get to advanced stuff. I may skip this. Okay. So we have some more stuff ahead, but given the time, and I did not give you a second break, we will end the class here. Now, you guys are aware, I'm going to go back to the class. So you first have notes here, and in my lecture notes, I'm going to put down today is November 24th. So we covered up to and that's it. So next class is exam, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I have an exam schedule, and then after this we will cover ternary operator, flow, and objects, and then would be your final exam. So for the next class, we are dealing with, it will be December 1st, I believe, and I'll double check it. Yeah, so 1 week from now, after Thanksgiving break, we are really not getting a break, but on the 1st, I am planning on your next exam. I believe I have posted that information. If not, I am gonna post it right now. Let me close out of this. Let me just look at the announcements to make sure. Okay. So next exam is scheduled for December 1st. And I basically went over, I will go over the requirements. There'll be no Zoom lecture schedule. So what I'm going to do is give you detailed written requirements. So you're doing this on your own time. You don't have to do it on December 1st. You can do it before, you can do it after. And so right here, I'm going to be explaining. Too. So this is when will it be due? It's going to be due December 7th, midnight. Detailed instructions are as follows. So in here, after tomorrow night, like beginning Wednesday morning. So instructions will be available here starting November 26th. You look at this document and I will have it, and I'll also add an announcement, etc. But more importantly, right here, I will tell you what you need to do step by step by step. So it's going to be a combination of what you've done earlier. Remember, I had you come up with the business idea, the subject that you'll be incorporating, and then we're going to be using this next JS, putting things together. So I'm going to give you step by step instructions. As long as you follow them, you should be in good shape. So, any questions, let me know. And I actually will make it due on the not 7th, but midnight of the 8th. Let's actually do 9th. Okay, I'm gonna make it due midnight of the 9th. This way, if you're really stuck on something, you would be able to ask me on the December 8th class if you really get stuck, and I'll make it due the next day midnight so that so I'm changed the date. I'm making it due on the 9th, midnight at 9th. This way we'll have the class in between. If you once you're working on it, you're unsure, I'll be able to provide assistance during the class. Questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you in 2 weeks on December 8th. And I'm sending messages whoever is asking. Otherwise, just disconnect if you have no question.